Please don't assume anything.
Yes.
Don't listen to rumors. Whoever tells you they know what's going on, they don't. That's how it is. We are going to make sure that we can do everything we can to keep guns out of the hands of kids, to make sure that whether on purpose or in some other fashion, no one is injured in this way in the future. But it is a sad morning. It's a truly sad day.
Yes.
It might look sunny, but honestly, it's raining today. And we are just here to say to every student and every parent associated with the school and everyone else who is affected by it, which is all of us, that this is one of the sadder mornings that we've had in a very, very long time. And we are heartbroken about what has occurred.
This senseless violence that we continue to see affecting young people in the city of Philadelphia, it's way out of control. And I understand that our numbers are down, but that means little to nothing to the family of someone who is affected by gun violence today. What I've seen today is children essentially consoling other children. We have to put an end to this, and we have to do it now. And we really just wanted to be here for the school family. This is a family, and let them know that we are here to provide resources and support, and also to remind our young men and women to stay away from guns and gun violence.
We've all come together to try to console people in this school, to try to support them. And I'll tell you, the school itself is doing an absolutely great job trying to address the issues that the students here are facing today. We don't have a complete investigation yet. We have a very active one that's making a lot of progress. We are going to have some answers about what occurred here pretty soon. But I would ask everybody, please don't assume anything.
Yes.
Don't listen to rumors. Whoever tells you they know what's going on, they don't. That's how it is. We are going to make sure that we can do everything we can to keep guns out of the hands of kids, to make sure that whether on purpose or in some other fashion, no one is injured in this way in the future. But it is a sad morning. It's a truly sad day. It might look sunny, but honestly, it's raining today. And we are just here to say to every student and every parent associated with the school and everyone else who is affected by it, which is all of us, that this is one of the sadder mornings.
that we continue to see affecting young people in the city of Philadelphia, it's way out of control. And
We must stand in solidarity with our immigrant neighbors, speak out against harmful enforcement practices, and invest in community-based solutions that uphold dignity and human rights for all. I also want to input that we object to the violent way that this immigration process has turned. We invite all Philadelphians to speak up. There are a lot of voices right now, but we all need to speak up so that we can have one unified voice. So speak up, Philadelphia. Thank you.
Good morning. Well, I just want to thank the the District Attorney Office, the Sheriff Office, the City of Philadelphia, our elected officials, for working with us to protect the dignity of our immigrant community. I represent mainly the African and Caribbean immigrants, many of whom have chosen and are law-abiding citizens who have worked very hard within the context of the Constitution of the United States and the laws. Many of our citizens who currently reside in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. We are honored to be part of this great experiment called America. Many of us came from far. Like me, I came from Liberia 35 years ago, fleeing from civil war. I was given the opportunity to develop myself here, establish families, which has contributed immensely to the integrity of the American system. We are law-abiding, and we created organizations for which I'm standing here to represent the African Cultural Alliance of North America. That organization has worked to bring dignity to immigrant community and make sure that immigrants are law-abiding. In the last 3 years, we saw a surge of African and Caribbean immigrants coming through the border. This was stimulated by what I call unbearable circumstances in their homeland. Because we were designated as an accredited agency of the Department of Justice, we step up to provide protection for those immigrants that were coming. I have been taught by the Department of Justice that if you file asylum, if you live by the rules, you will be treated fairly and go through the immigration legal system. Many years ago, that system was divided into 3 branches. One, the administrative branch, which is the USCIS. 2, the judicial branch, the court system, which is EOIR, or the Executive Office of Immigration Review. And under that umbrella comes the ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Our understanding of what each branch was to do was that the system will function under separate entities. ICE was supposed to be like the police officer in the system, be the enforcement arm. But what we've seen over the years has been, or over the last 1 year has been, that boundary has been stepped. Instead of ICE being invited by USCIS or EOIR to engage in enforcement, what we are seeing is people are being flagged down on the streets without no justice at all. People are afraid to go for their immigration interview because they will not be treated fairly. People are being picked up at court hearing in their attempt to abide by the rules that the federal government has clearly set. I'm here today to plead with the United States government to allow the rules to be played as it was set out to do. We don't want to break the law, but who wants to go to court knowing that as soon as you get to court, you will be arrested and locked up? who want to go to court that when you even file for bond, the bond will not be abided by. Who want to go to court that even if you file your paperwork the right way, it will not be reviewed the right way. This is the America we are now enduring. And I plead to this nation to have compassion on those who are prepared to live by the law and do what is right to sustain the integrity of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Boki, and thank you, T. And we appreciate the voices of the community that are added to this discussion. And now we'd like to enlarge this by adding the voices of our elected officials who serve us so mightily and so wonderfully at the levels of legislation in the city. Joining us now in this order will be two of our council members who have shown stalwart strength in the face of these aggressions. First is the third council member representative, Councilmember Jamie Gaultier, followed by Councilmember at Large Lou Landau. In that order, they will speak to you.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. I want to thank District Attorney Larry Krasner for convening us here in Southwest Philadelphia, the beating heart of Philly's African and Caribbean immigrant communities. And thank you also to Reverend James for having us here at Salt and Light Church. Philly has always been a city of immigrants. They are our neighbors, our co-workers, and in my case, my family. My grandparents left their village in St. Vincent and brought my mother and her siblings right here to Southwest Philadelphia. I know how hard it is, how much courage it takes, how much you have to sacrifice to leave the only home you've ever known behind in pursuit of a better life. We should be honored that immigrants think that our city is worth so much. So while the Trump administration and their MAGA cronies try to distract us with fake outrage, lame jokes, and dangerous threats against our district attorney and sheriff, here in Philadelphia, your leaders are laser focused on governing and protecting our communities. And let's be clear, this isn't just about immigrants anymore. Trump's masked ICE secret police executed Renee Good, a mother and American citizen, in broad daylight. And if it walks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. We see Trump's actions for what they really are, a violent attempt to seize power and scare those who disagree with him. Monday is MLK Day, so I can't help but think about how Dr. King would approach this moment, what he would want from our city. And I think we all know that he would call on us to fiercely fight for our immigrant neighbors, not remain silent in the face of injustice. I want to reiterate to folks watching here at home that you're hearing us talk this morning, but we're backing it up with action. City Council expanded funding for the Pennsylvania Immigrant Family Unit Project, or PIFA, and fought to move it over to the Defenders Association. And there's no better agency equipped to meet this moment than the Defenders, led by Keisha Hudson and her amazing team. And I'm relieved that even more of our immigrant neighbors will now have access to the legal counsel that they need. I also echo District Attorney Krasner's calls to improve guardrails on ICE activity at the Criminal Justice Center. ICE is making us less safe by scaring Philadelphians from reporting crimes or serving as witnesses, preventing victims from receiving justice, and keeping criminals on our streets. I hope our judges will agree to come to the table and help us to keep our city safe. Thank you, District Attorney Larry Krasner, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal, Chief Defender Hudson, Councilmember Kendra Brooks, Councilmember Rue Landau, the ACLU of PA, Juntos, CMAC, Salt and Light, and of course, Bofi and his wonderful team at Akana for unapologetically standing up for our immigrant community when so many others feel comfortable sitting on the sidelines. This coalition will keep doing everything we can to keep Philadelphians safe from a rogue president and his masked secret police with bloodlust. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rue Landau, a councilperson at large, and happy to be here. And again, so sad and heartbroken to be here again. Thank you, Salt and Light, for hosting us today, along with the DA's office and the Defender's office. This is incredibly important that we come together to speak truth to so many of the falsities, the lies, and misinformation and hate that is out there. You know, as somebody who got out of college and as an activist, a scrappy activist and protester, to being a legal aid lawyer, to now being a council person, I have watched Philadelphia's criminal justice system in general build on the work that they're doing and build on making sure that all Philadelphians are safe. I remember times when the police would come after protesters with billy clubs and absolutely bloody people until they scampered away, to when the police department came up with policies and protocols of how to handle protesters who were just executing their First Amendment rights, their constitutional rights to protest and to assemble. I've watched our court system make going to court easier and accessible, making sure that while we were working on police-community relations, both with the Police Department of Philadelphia and the Sheriff's Office, that the courts also were following through to making sure that this was a system where people could actually go and have their grievances heard and allow the justice system to work. This, of course, has been helped with a great DA and a great chief defender here in Philadelphia. We are finally all rowing in the same direction. But I want you to imagine the triangle that is any criminal case here in Philadelphia. We must have a law enforcement that is trusted by the community. We must have a strong community with leaders that both trust law enforcement and also trust the criminal justice system. And we must have a strong court system that is making sure that justice is served. And if any part of that triangle is broken, the entire system is broken. You can imagine any case. Imagine a horrific domestic violence case. In those cases, the folks who have to come to court are the victim, any witnesses, family members and support people, and of course, the offender and all the lawyers and everybody who support them. If folks are scared to go to court, if they are scared the second they step out of their house to even get to that court hearing, they are in jeopardy. If going to the hearing and walking outside puts them in harm's way of ICE agents who are going to jump out of unmarked cars with unmarked vests and not showing their badges, they are going to jump on them, attack them, and drag them away, they're not going to participate in the process. And now we have failed. We have failed in Philadelphia of every single thing we have built on for so many years. We must make sure that what we are doing in Philadelphia, what we are building on, what we have created in Philadelphia, is working for Philadelphians. And we will not have some masked, unnamed hooligans from out of town come in here and attack Philadelphians and attack what we have built here. We are saying ICE out of Philadelphia. We are saying we are going to protect our immigrant neighbors. We are going to say that the sanctity of our systems that we have built up are so essential to Philadelphia. When we have victims, justice must be served. When we have all of these systems working in place, we must support it. We cannot break it down. ICE, do not come to Philadelphia. You are already here. Don't even think about ascending on Philadelphia. We will protect the folks that are around here. We've got a coalition who is ready for you. But again, we will say this system is too important. Out of our courts, out of our city. Thank you so much.
I want to thank our legislators for speaking with courage and conviction. It's nice to have legislators who know how to put verbs in their sentences and how to express themselves with clarity and with a level of assertiveness that allows us to feel safe. Thank you. We appreciate it. You've heard from the community, you've heard from our legislators, and now we would like to hear from individuals who are invested with the authority of law to assure and certify the peace of our community. We'll hear first from the Chief Public Defender, Keisha Hudson, who will speak to us regarding this issue. She will be followed by a gentleman that I've come to respect and appreciate, and that is the District Attorney of the City of Philadelphia, Mr. Larry Krasner. And then afterwards, following District Attorney Krasner, will be a woman that I have known for quite a few years who has served this city in law enforcement for decades now. It should be known that the City of Philadelphia is one of those rare cities that is coterminous, being a city and a county at the same time, and therefore we are invested with and blessed with, many would say, two law enforcement agencies that serve the city, the Philadelphia Police Department. But joining us today after District Attorney Krasner will be the Chief of our Sheriff's Department. She is Ms. Rochelle Bilal. In that order, they will come before you.
Good morning. I'm Keisha Hudson, Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia, proud immigrant from Jamaica. Today is about something simple and essential. People should be able to come to court without fear. Fear that doing what the law requires will put them and their families at risk. Right now, non-citizens in Philadelphia do not have that peace of mind. They do not have fair access to our courts and our justice system. There have been 130 known ICE arrests of people who are in the system since January of 2025. Since November, almost all of these arrests have taken place at the CJC, the Criminal Justice Center. Many people were deported before we even knew they were detained, and many of them had absolutely no representation. Months later, we are still trying to figure out where they are actually being detained and where they were deported to. We're seeing increased arrests of people with absolutely no convictions. Let me be very clear here. When you come into the criminal justice system as someone who is arrested, you have a presumption of innocence. No convictions, and often for very minor offenses. A justice system only works when people actually show up. When fear keeps people out of court, cases fall apart, accountability breaks down, and communities are less safe, not more safe. And this isn't about special treatment. It's about making sure our courts function as courts, not as places where people are punished for appearing. Courts depend on trust. When people believe that walking into a courtroom could expose them to civil immigration enforcement, that erodes trust. And once that is gone, the entire system collapses. And the impact doesn't stop with one person. There are over 310,000 non-citizens living in Philadelphia. About 285,000 children in our city have at least one immigrant parent. When a parent is detained after showing up to court, families are destabilized, children are affected, communities absorb that fallout, and the ripple effects are felt far beyond the immigration status. There is some good news. There are clear, lawful steps that the courts can take right now to protect that access to justice while respecting the law. Courts can require a valid judicial warrant before allowing any civil immigration arrests in our court and around our court facilities. Courts can limit civil immigration enforcement in sensitive court spaces so people can attend hearings without fear. Courts can ensure that staff are trained to understand the difference between judicial warrants and administrative ICE documents. And they can provide clear notice of rights so people know what is and what is not legally required of them. These are not new ideas. They are well within the authority of courts and are already being used in jurisdictions including Chicago and other jurisdictions around the country to preserve due process and court access. This week, my office announced the launch of our new immigration law practice to ensure non-citizens receive accurate legal guidance and protection, whether they are navigating the criminal legal system or facing immigration issues entirely outside of it. And let me be absolutely clear, the majority of people that we're seeing coming into the system, detained by ICE, are people with absolutely no contact with our criminal legal system, none. But public defenders cannot do this work alone. Protecting court access is a shared responsibility across the justice system and requires coordination between the courts, the district attorney's office, of course, our public defenders, who I'm thrilled to represent, and court administration. We do appreciate the leadership of partners who are willing to engage seriously on this issue, including our elected officials, including City Council, who was in great support of our efforts to reform our immigration legal practice, and the Parker administration. At the end of the day, this is about the integrity of our courts. When people can show up without fear, the system works better for everyone. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'll keep my comments relatively short, less than 200 minutes. But I do sometimes talk because I'm pretty passionate about this. This one really bugs me for a whole lot of reasons. This is ultimately about good versus evil. That's what it is. It's about good versus evil. Renee Nicole Good is just part of that good. And she is up against evil. And so is her wife. What has been done to her, based on the limited information available to me, is not only homicide. In my opinion, it's murder. What has been done to an enormous number of small boats whose passengers and drivers we will never even identify because they were blown to smithereens either the first or the second time. Just ask Amnesty International. I heard them say this when they were speaking at the UN. It's murder, full stop. That's it. What does it mean when you hear that in Portland, 2 people were shot in a car and they called 911? The people in the car who got shot by Customs and Border Patrol called the local police for help. This is happening all over the country. It's happening in Minneapolis. You have people looking to police with whom they have some level of trust to protect them from federal officers who are shooting them, who are crashing cars, who have shot more than 9 people so far in their various adventures. What does it mean? It means we're talking about good versus evil. We're talking about unchecked power. And I gotta tell you, one thing that really irks me is that after this horrific thing was done to Renee Nicole Good, and before we got to hear the craziness yesterday about how the feds want to go and investigate her wife for domestic terrorism, causing 6 seasoned federal prosecutors to quit, as they should, because they actually obey their oath. In between those 2 things, this happened. J.D. Vance, remember him? J.D. Vance, the guy who told us that there were immigrants in the state of Ohio who were eating cats and dogs. Remember that? And then when it turned out that was a complete racist lie, admitted it. He said, you say stuff to get attention from the media. He said that. That man, who has a law degree from Yale, presumably went to class, said state authorities can't arrest, charge, prosecute, and jail federal officers because they have, quote, absolute immunity, unquote. Well, that is an absolute lie, Mr. Vice President. And the thing that really gets me is you're surrounded by buffoons who don't know a damn thing. Oops, sorry. You're surrounded by fools who don't know anything. You know perfectly well that is an absolute lie. And why would a vice president who knows this tell this absolute lie? I can only think of one reason, and that is to say to federal officers, go get it. Keep shooting. Keep smashing down doors. Keep going through neighborhoods saying, where do all the Hmong people live? Where do the Thai people live? Engage in your racial, ethnic assaults on communities. I'm the vice president. You got absolute immunity. Well, no, you don't. And oh, trust me, you try any of that here. And I'm not speaking to the good federal officers who I've worked with for years, who took an oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws, and who follow it. I'm not talking to them. But that collection of people who left their Klan hoods in the closet and went and signed up because you did advertising talking about a foreign invasion, where'd you get that one from? Nazi Germany? Those people who left their Klan hoods for a minute so they could become ICE agents, and now they're just happily doing whatever they feel like doing, shooting people, and then saying F and B after shooting her in the head. Those people, we will arrest you. We will put handcuffs on you. We will close those cuffs. We will put you in a cell. We will set your bail, and I'm going to ask for it to be appropriately high. We will take you to trial. We will do everything in our power to convict you, and we will make sure you serve your entire sentence because Donald Trump has no power whatsoever to pardon you. That's the way the law works. I understand, Mr. Vice President, you're trying to rewrite the law. I mean, you're on your third name. You wrote a book about your history that is, at a minimum, misleading. You want to tell us horrific racist stories about immigrants eating dogs and cats that are pure lies and then chuckle and admit that they're pure lies. I get it. But make no mistake, Mr. Vice President, when the instructions to kill, the instructions to arrest without a legal basis, the instructions to violate people's rights, to smash people's cameras when they're engaging in their First Amendment constitutionally protected right to video federal officers acting in public, when you go after all those people and you encourage it and you lie to them to say, go get it, you have accountability too. Look this one up, Mr. Vice President. Nuremberg trials. Look it up. Sometimes haters, and you are one, face consequences. Real consequences. Whether under international law or in the United States. When the Nazis did what they did, there was a member of the United States Supreme Court, Justice Jackson, who quit his job on the Supreme Court temporarily to go prosecute them in Nuremberg. That's how important it was. That's how important it is. All of you who imagine a world where there's no accountability, try me. And try our sheriff. Try me. The law applies to all of us. I understand you reject equality, which is why you are anti-American and un-American. We don't. We believe in equality. We think it applies to everyone, the law. We think it applies to everyone. I want to say this before I quit. The sheriff has taken a lot of heat from right-wing nuts. We've all taken a lot of heat. Remember Todd Lyons? He's here to tell us all about you can't arrest federal officers. Todd Lyons is some guy in ICE. Well, A, you don't have a law degree, I checked. B, you're completely wrong. C, you are threatening elected officials and law enforcement officials if they do their jobs. Who does that? Criminals do that. That's what a criminal organization does. They go after prosecutors, they go after sheriffs, they go after law enforcement who uphold the law and keep their oaths. Mr. Lyons, I guess we're in a house of faith, so maybe it's worth saying, you want to put us in the lion's den? I think we're going to come out fine, just like Daniel. I think it's going to work out all right for all of us. I am very grateful to the sheriff. Not only has she been an excellent partner with us when we needed to handle the usual work of prosecution. For example, there were a lot of warrants, judicially issued warrants out there to arrest people on homicide cases. And those people were on the run. And the sheriff worked very closely with us in order to make sure that the sheriff's office, in collaboration with PPD, could bring them into custody. It was a very, very successful effort. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate her courage, because when you stand up, all those Proud Boys who live in their basement eating the grilled cheese that mom made for them, all of them, the ones who haven't already become new ICE agents, all those people are coming at you. All of those 4chan incels, they're going to beat the heck out of that little keyboard, go back to their shooter games, and say some nasty stuff, whether it's about physical harm or whatever. If they think Sheriff Bilal or I are backing down, then they're just wrong. That's not the people we are. And I also appreciate that in the same way that in my office of almost 650 people, there are occasions when individuals in my office go off script. They do stuff I don't want them doing. They hide it. We have our own internal struggles to make sure that the people in our agencies, our offices, are doing what it is that we want. And I don't know, because I'm not in the sheriff's office, but I know that in any large organization, you're always, as the leader of that organization, going to be upholding a standard. And in the sheriff's case, it is a righteous standard. And you're going to have to not only struggle with the haters on the outside, but you're going to have to sometimes try to correct the course of people on the inside. I truly appreciate that the sheriff has said over and over and over that she is not about helping ICE, that she does not want this, well, I don't want to say it because she says it better than me, but she doesn't want this situation up in here. How about that? I truly appreciate that. And with that, obviously there could be more to say. Q&A. With that, I will step aside so you can hear from our sheriff, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal.
Good morning. I'm Sheriff Rochelle Bilal for the City and County of Philadelphia, and I stand 10 toes down on my statement. 10 toes down. I say law enforcement professionals that are trained do not act like this. They do not. And so for those who are ignorant, because when you don't believe the facts and you can't come back with facts, you come back with insults. My mother said, sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you. Bring it. When I say you don't want this smoke, the smoke is on both sides. The sheriff's office is obligated because we believe in the Constitution of the United States. We follow the law. And smoke means you will get arrested, you will get prosecuted, you will go to jail. So when I say you don't want this smoke, it's you don't want those problems. And so when I say it to those that come into this city, and if they commit a crime, because, conveniently, all of them are leaving out the word crime. When you do a crime in this city and the DA charges you, you will be arrested and you will go to jail. That's the smoke. And I say that to innocent bystanders that are out there protesting and observing. Do not allow those ICE magnets pull you into the system where they can fakely arrest you, cause you to be charged federally, cause you to go to whatever jail or wherever they're sending people. That's the smoke you don't even want. So is everybody clear on what smoke means? Yes. Just know that we will follow the law, If our legislators come up with a legislation that we will follow that. If our judges come up with an order for us to follow, the sheriff's office will follow that too. Our job is to keep everybody safe. And I ain't scared.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I believe that they all agree with you. I've just discovered that all of the federal buildings are smoke-free. All right. We conclude now with these final speakers, and after which we will have the Q&A session with our district attorney. We thank all of our previous speakers for the perspectives that they brought to bear upon this subject, and we close now with these final 3+1, and it is it is impolite for any minister to come into another minister's house without having him to address, and we will ask Pastor Sean James to be the final speaker before the district attorney comes forward with his Q&A session. First, we will have Marielle Dela Cruz, who is the director of the district attorney's office Victim Services Unit. She will speak to us. She will be followed by Carlos Munoz, who is an immigration attorney here in the city of Philadelphia. Preceding them will be a woman who has subjected her title of council member always under the title of being an activist for our community. That is Council Member Kendra Brooks. And finally, Pastor Sean James will come, and then after that, the district attorney will have a Q&A session. Once again, in this order, Council Member Kendra Brooks, and then Marielle Dela Cruz, followed by Carlos Munoz, and then Pastor Sean James.
Thank you so much. Good morning, I'm Minority Leader Kendra Brooks from the Working Families Party. Since the murder of Renee Good by mass ICE agents, my office has seen an increased amount of calls from Philadelphians wanting to know what can we do to get ICE out of their neighborhoods. Every day since, I've seen more crimes committed by ICE in neighborhoods. I've seen more crimes committed by agents in my social media feeds, my apologies. They are beating children, terrorizing entire neighborhoods, cowardly hiding their identities. ICE needs to get out of our city for the safety of all of us. The city must act. How long until one of these viral moments come to our doors right here in Philadelphia? Just last night, I attended an ICE Out training in West Philadelphia. So many of our neighbors in our communities turned out to see how they can protect our communities from ICE. I saw and heard firsthand about the impact ICE has made right here, right now. There are some who would say it's a smart strategy to ignore the Trump administration. Unlike them, I do not fear the Trump administration. The people at our ICE Out training last night do not fear the Trump administration. And I reject that framing. Staying quiet will not keep us safe because ICE is already here. The question to our elected officials and city partners is this: what are we going to do right now to stop it? That's what I'm here today with my district attorney, the sheriff, and some of my colleagues, to demand action, to do something, to take action, to meet the moment. We know ICE agents have already disappeared dozens and dozens of people from our criminal justice system. That's not up for dispute. That's collaboration, and I will not tolerate it. The people standing on this stage with me today know how urgent this issue is. When people can't safely come to our courts without the threat of unmarked ICE agents arresting them, that's a threat to all of us. We need cooperation from the courts in this matter, and I'm demanding that today. The demands laid out today must be met. My office will do everything within its power to ensure that they are. If they are not met, there will be consequences. I will use the power I have in City Council to investigate and to enforce our welcoming city policies. I will call those who aid and collaborate with ICE in any way to testify in front of City Council. This entire city will see exactly what their leaders are and are not doing to protect us. They will see who in the courts are allowing this to happen, and I will demand answers and will not stop until I get them. The people deserve these answers, and the courts must meet this moment. Cities across the country are stepping up and looking at every available option they have to get ICE out. I said this last week, standing with the same group. I am not surprised to be here today. It's a result of complicity disguised as strategic alliance. That's not what leaders do. That's not how we lead. That's not what our district attorney or our sheriff does. Today, it's about the courts, and about in the coming days, you will hear about what my office is doing about city policy. These demands must be met or face the consequences or investigations in council. And I thought about the reference someone made about Daniel, but I also thought about another one, about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I don't know if you know that story, but you went into the fire and they came out unscathed. When you have righteous demands and righteous concerns, and you stand up what's right for the people, you'll always come on top. Philadelphia, let's get ICE out of our city so we can come out on top. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marielle de la Cruz. I'm the director of the DA's Office Victim Services Unit. I stand here today as a proud daughter of immigrant parents, an advocate, a co-survivor, and the director of our Victim Services Unit. I will be reading a statement this morning for you all on behalf of Allison Sprague, who's been an active voice around issues of immigration, specifically those affecting victims of crime in the city of Philadelphia. Allison is the executive director of our Victim Witness Services of South Philadelphia for the city. Okay. Increased ICE enforcement in Philadelphia is decreasing public safety for all residents. Within the immigrant communities we serve, there has been a substantial increase in victims who are fearful of appearing in court and are afraid of even to report incidents of crime or violence to law enforcement due to the perception that this could result in an apprehension by ICE. This reduces the access to justice, not only for immigrants and their communities, but also for communities who have been impacted by violence and have a hard time navigating systems already. This reduces access to justice for all communities, but for all Philadelphians residents as well. When witnesses do not appear in court, the system is unable to function. When victims of violence are unable to safely access the courts, everyone is negatively impacted. Those who have been harmed and those who have committed harms. Survivors are denied the benefits that come with documented instances of harm, such as supports with relocation, safety planning, victims' compensation, and other resources that are beneficial for the recovery of trauma. Individuals accused of committing acts of violence are also denied the rights to face their accusers within the legal system to defend themselves. The successful reduction of violence over the past several years has proven that community-based safety and programming works. And we look forward to investing in these solutions with our justice system partners. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Carlos Munoz. I'm a private immigration attorney. I'm one of many members of the National Immigration Lawyers Association, but I'm not speaking on their behalf. I'm speaking on my firsthand experience as a Philadelphian myself, whose children attend school in this great city. And I am so proud to stand on the same stage as all of these people who are fighting so hard to make Philadelphia as safe and law-abiding as possible. I'm probably, I think, at least the third immigrant on this stage, naturalized citizen, and I think there's others who also have family ties. So when we talk about affecting our immigrant communities versus U.S. citizens, that is a false dichotomy. Every one of my clients has U.S. citizens. Some were born here, some naturalized. It's not always the case, but to think that there's an us and a them is wrong. I can tell you from firsthand, and as you go down families, as you go down communities, the two are intertwined inextricably. So affecting, treating immigrants without law, without the rule of law, affects U.S. citizens without the rule of law. I can tell you from my experience with my clients, the vast majority of them are very law-abiding people, almost to a fault. ICE could probably meet their quotas just asking people to come in. People know they might be detained and they still go. They are willing to follow a process. They know they're immigrants, they know there's a process, and by and large, the vast majority of them are trying to follow it. This administration, from the Department of Justice agencies like EOIR, is trying to bend the law. Luckily, in this country, we have separation of powers, and I can tell you, trying to end all bond, just about everybody who's here. The Department of Justice makes up law. In about 300 cases, I can tell you 289 federal courts found that they're wrong. They're misapplying the law. They're just lying about what it says. Six courts found otherwise. 288 to 6. When you have that, and you're still enforcing the wrong answer, that is not the rule of law. That is an administration run amok. And so I thank all of our elected officials here who are stressing the rule of law. They're calling on the courts to have access to justice, to have a safe courthouse so that immigrants and, as I'm stating, not just immigrants, but also affected U.S. citizens can have that safe access to justice in our courts and in our city. Thank you.
Let me begin by saying thank you to this broad and diverse group of leaders who have come together to build this coalition. This is a time for courage, and I thank you for the courage for everyone who is standing with us today. They have spoken to many groups, so let me very specifically speak to the religious community of our city. As we are approaching King Day, I'm reminded of this quote: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." I am specifically calling for those congregations, not just Christian, but congregations in Philadelphia, to return to the concept of sanctuary. Sanctuary should be sanctuary. Our churches, our mosques, and our synagogues should be safe ground. This is holy ground. And I made it very clear to everyone in Salt and Light and the broader community that this place will be safe ground, and we will not allow anyone to breach holy ground. I am calling the churches, congregations, synagogues, mosques to contact the New Sanctuary Movement and other agencies that will help you set up policies in your church to make your church sanctuary. It is amazing to me that people who claim that they are followers of Jesus Christ, yet would breach a church, would breach worship time, would breach a time when someone is trying to connect with God and use it as an opportunity to find them vulnerable. that will not happen in this place, fool around and find out. This is safe ground and will be safe ground. Let's return to the concept of sanctuary.
We thank all of our speakers, and before I yield the floor to our district attorney, as a media person, I want to appeal to my partners in media. And that is one of the greatest injustices that can be done to a society is for affairs that are both insane and unjust to be reported as though they are both sane and just. And while I recognize that as media members we are called to impartiality and a level of objectivity to convey to people that things that are happening that are absolutely insane are acceptable and in accordance with normalcy is to do injustice to our calling as media professionals. Find creative ways, my friends in media, to share these truths and these facts that we are seeing that are unjust and that are downright atrocious in their nature. Find creative ways to share those things. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our District Attorney of the City of Philadelphia, Mr. Larry Krasner.
All right. As always with our process, we will call on members of the media, journalists, in order. Albert Castro, Channel 6 ABC. Do you have any questions, sir? Okay, thank you. Isabel Sanchez, NBC 10. Do you have any questions?
I do have a few questions in English. I would love the answer in Spanish if possible. If not, we can do that later.
Okay.
We are here calling for action to stop some of the behavior we ourselves have seen outside of CJC. I guess my question is, what can really be done, and if you have been in conversations with other agencies in the city that can help really prevent this type of attentions? Because I've spoken with many people who have told me off the record that they prefer not even showing up for court during a detention outside, or even if they're victims, or even if they have a case that they know they're doing, they would rather not even show up.
Understood. One of the terrible things that we are seeing, because this Nazified ICE assault on this country was in theory about public safety. One of the things that we have seen, for example, in the context of domestic violence, is that more and more victims are not showing up for court. We're seeing the same with witnesses. Witnesses may be undocumented, but they may be there for the benefit of a U.S. citizen who's had a crime committed against them by a U.S. citizen. This happens all the time. We need those witnesses in order to ensure public safety and hold people accountable for their crimes. I can think of specific cases that we cannot proceed on because those witnesses have been terrified by outrageous and illegal, frequently illegal, not always, policies coming from ICE. And perhaps the biggest mind meld of all is this. I have a list of 8 or 9 cases here that represent a truly rare segment of the population. It's the very small number of undocumented immigrants who are charged in Philadelphia with serious crimes, sexual assault, pedophilic activity, serious assault, stabbings, things like that. Do you know what ICE is doing with them? They're grabbing them and deporting them before those people ever go to trial. They're grabbing them and deporting them before they're convicted. They're grabbing them and deporting them before they face any consequence in custody. In other words, they are discriminating against U.S. citizens in that tiny segment of cases that this was supposed to be about. It's called the get out of jail free card. It's called you're deported and maybe you come back because maybe we can't stop you. It is the most upside down anti-public safety policy that I have ever seen. Entirely contradictory to long policies held by the federal government. It has long been the case in federal court that if an undocumented person who was worthy of deportation was convicted of a serious offense, let's say big-time drug dealing, they were going to do all their time before they were deported. And that has been turned upside down. As you can tell, the excuses coming from this administration never line up. They always change. We're going to do what we're doing to Venezuela for drugs, and then next thing we know, actually we're going to pardon one of the biggest drug dealers in the history of the world. We won't even get into why. We're going to pardon one of the biggest drug dealers in the history of the world. And now it's about oil. Really? Is that how this works? This is about safety, but now it's not about safety. Now we actually have federal agents killing people, shooting people. We have people who've been harmed by federal agents calling the local police for help. It is completely upside down. So in terms of what can be done, I'm not here to speak for the courts. I'm not here to speak for other officials. I'm here to get around a table with them and with people who represent and understand the situation faced by the immigrant community and figure out what it is that we can do together. Because we should all believe in public safety. We should all support our constitutional rights. We should all believe in upholding the law. We should all believe in a measure of just accountability that is appropriate and that we can only get in a courtroom. And it is my hope that we'll be able to do that. In Espanol, I was going to shrink it. En español, lo que estamos pidiendo es sentar en una mesa con los jefes de las cortes, con la gente que está aquí conmigo ahora, con nuestro sheriff, incluso con otros oficiales de la ciudad, para discutir cómo vamos a proteger nuestro proceso en corte en contra actividades ilegales por unos, no todos, pero unos miembros de ICE.
In Espanol briefly, and I'll say this in English if people understand me. Can you tell me how is this whole action near the court affecting a su oficina fiscal con las personas no yendo a corte, testigos no apareciendo?
Hay menos seguridad. Estamos en una posición ahora donde la ciudad ha logrado mucho en cuanto a la seguridad pública. Y eso es lo que quiere este presidente destruir. No vamos a aceptar esa consecuencia. Of course. All right. Is it Reese Rosario? Reese Rosario? Yes, sir. Do you have it? Okay, very good. So you don't have any questions. I got it. Mr. Tomchuk from the Metro.
The jurisdiction of the courts rests with the First Judicial District. And one of the action items that we're calling for today is to have a meeting with the courts, obviously with the district attorney, myself, the sheriff, the police, and members of the park administration, members of not just city council, but in Harrisburg, from our governor. There are a lot of reasons to surmise why the approach is the approach that it is, and I'm not here to speculate. But we have to ensure that people have access to court. That goes all the way back to common law. That people have a right to access the courts. They have a right to access the court spaces safely. The edict that came down from the Trump administration, and in one of many executive orders, saying that churches are no longer sanctuary spaces, and courts are no longer sanctuary spaces, and schools are no longer sanctuary spaces. We are lawyers. Let me tell you, lawyers are going to be on the front line, and there is litigation that has been done in other cities, and there are actual standing federal court opinions that have said that the Trump administration cannot target sanctuary cities. We are last time I checked, was a welcoming city, whether we call ourselves a sanctuary city or a welcoming city. But one of the essential spaces for due process to happen, and we still have due process, is in our courts. And right now, victims, witnesses, and my clients, who are presumed innocent and have not yet had their day in court, have no fair and just access without being detained and removed without counsel.
Anything else, Mr. Tomchuk? What I would say is that we have had, in general, a very good relationship with our police commissioner. I look forward to working with him to make sure the Constitution of the United States, which includes, among many other things, the First Amendment, is protected, and that the laws of the United States are protected. He has not said anything to me that suggested he won't keep his oath, and I am confident that he will keep his oath. All right, Mr. Dean from the Trace. Oh, there you are. How are you? I don't know if the public defender wants to address that. I'm happy to let her do it. What I will say, though, is from my position, we need to have that discussion. There's what the law requires us to do, and there is what we can do above that floor. So I certainly wouldn't want to limit that conversation by being too specific about it.
The only thing I would say is, again, to emphasize that we are calling on the courts and various entities so that we can sit down and have these conversations. Our process and what we choose to do will not need to be reinvented. There are other cities around the country that have managed to ensure that the courts are accessible and that everyone who accesses the courts can access the courts fairly and participate in the process, from whether the victim, witness, or someone who's alleged to have committed a crime, who has not had that process. One of the things that we are seeing, again, is, we're asking for notices and clear communication to be put up in courtroom spaces and courthouse spaces that explain what people's rights are, not just the people who are coming into the process, but legal observers. We have legal observers on video who are being tackled by ICE agents in and around our courthouses. And so I think the notices, but also we're also calling for the courts to train staff members who don't know what an administrative notice is, and they don't know what a judicial warrant is. And some ICE official is showing them a piece of paper, and they're giving out sensitive information, and people are being detained. So we're asking for not just the education for everybody who comes into that building, and by everyone I mean people who are black and brown. Thank you, Justice Kavanaugh. But everyone needs to be on notice what is going to happen when they come into a court space. That is on the courts to do that education and that notice. In terms of the larger things that can be done, we are, as I said before, a welcoming city. As a lawyer, let me tell you, we can litigate and we win, and places around the country have done that litigation and have won to ensure that we have access to the courts. That requires some courage from a variety of people, some of whom are here today and others who are not, to start to take that stance. But we are first calling on having that important conversation with the courts.
All right, Kimberly Painter, WHYY. Is there a Kimberly Painter of HYY? I guess not at this time. Abdul? Oh, Sherry, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. It's always good to see you. Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune. So what the law says is very clear. It's very clear. Very clear. Can you hear me, J.D. Vance? What the law says is that federal officers can't murder you. And if they do, they can be arrested and prosecuted and convicted, and they cannot be pardoned by the President of the United States. That is what the law says. That means in any city, any law enforcement authority that has probable cause and has the right to do the arrest can make that arrest. If I may just say this for a minute, I know the district attorney in Minneapolis, whose name is Mary Moriarty. You're not hearing a lot about her because there's a lot of talk about the perhaps better known Attorney General in Minnesota. But Mary's as real as it gets. And Mary knows the law. And Mary ain't gonna lie about the law, and neither am I. It's real simple. You commit crimes, you will be prosecuted by the local prosecutor through conviction, and you will do your sentence. Okay? That's how it works. So, that's a long way of saying, yes, local police can and will, so far as I know, it's their oath, arrest federal officers who violate state law. All right, let me see. We also have, is it Mr. Coughlin or Coughlin? Sorry, dude.
Given the complaints from protesters regarding the sheriff's office and some deputies they believe were sharing information with guns, and given your statement about having 650 or so people in your office, not all of them agree, is there discipline they face? Have you had issues with people sharing? What happens if somebody's collaborating with ICE in your office?
Well, let me speak a little bit more generally. I've fired people for not following the policies of the office. And frankly, if they want to commit crimes, I'll do worse than that. It's, it is up to the leader of every organization. I'll leave it to the sheriff's not here. Okay. It's up to the leader of every organization to try to smoke out the gophers. But every organization is going to have some gophers, some people who disagree and figure they'll take their paycheck and go rogue and do whatever they want. I mean, that's just universal. You can't find a single entity within the city of Philadelphia where somebody's not going sideways on the boss. That's kind of how it works. So yeah, there absolutely should be consequences for people who are violating their instructions, their directives, their policies within that office. And I won't speak for the sheriff in that regard. But if anybody thinks that the district attorney's office is made up of 650 people who are going to do exactly what I might do, exactly when I might do it, exactly how I might do it, that's just not reality. And I think any executive would probably tell you that. Geisha Torres, Univision.
Se la voy a hacer en español. ¿Nos podría hablar de cuáles son esas estrategias para proteger a los migrantes residentes de Filadelfia, por lo menos una de las estrategias que saben que van a emplear?
All right, now here's the thing. There's some people here who speak better Spanish than me who are actual immigration attorneys. Do you want me to address this, or would you like to hear it from someone who has better Spanish and a little more authority?
Tu español es excelente.
Okay. Okay, qué bueno. Voy a tratar. All right, so just so I understand, the question was, what are some strategies that immigrants can use to protect themselves? Okay. Does anybody want to help me with this? I'll be happy to. Come on, Carlos, we'll do it together. How about that? He'll say stuff, then I'll imitate it.
Si la pregunta es qué estrategias pueden usar inmigrantes, algunas cosas. Primero, es tener un plan. Pueden tener consultas con abogados, hablar de su caso, no esperar hasta que tu familiar está detenido y después tratar de encontrar dinero sin la persona que a lo mejor estaba haciendo la gran mayoría del dinero en la casa, con muy poco tiempo. Es bueno tener un plan, ¿okay? Y en esto es bueno, algunos los pueden pagar por eso, y para que los que no, hay el programa de PIFAB con la Oficina del Defensor. Está tratando de llegar a la meta de lo que se necesita para las personas que no pueden pagar para un abogado privado. También es bueno saber la ley un poco. Por ejemplo, ¿qué es un warrant? Un warrant, right? Un warrante de un juez federal. Okay? ICE tiene papeles que tienen la palabra warrant, pero no son warrantes, no están firmados por un juez. Y hay varias de las organizaciones como ACLU y otras tienen ejemplos en su website que muestran cómo se ve. Tiene que tener el sello de la Corte Federal firmado por un juez federal. Eso es un warrant. Si no tiene esas cosas, no hay permiso para entrar el hogar, para entrar el carro. Okay? A lo mejor ahí va a romper la ley, pero puedes decir, no tienes derecho a entrar. ¿Ok? Abre la puerta, ¿te quiere mostrar el warrant? Pues no, muéstrala por la ventana, bajo la puerta, pero no tienes permiso para entrar, no tienes permiso para entrar. Te vamos a arrestar todos si no la abres, no tienes permiso para entrar. Okay. Esas son algunas etapas, pero también tener el plan, no esperar hasta el arresto para ver qué vamos a hacer.
Sí, esa
como dijo nuestro amigo, el abogado Carlos Muñoz, abogado de inmigración, hay que tener un plan, hay que entender que la oficina de la defensora pública tiene un programa para asistir a abogados que pueden asistir si tienen un caso penal y les pueden ayudar. También hay que entender que si vienen agentes de ICE con un papel y ese papel tiene la firma actual de un juez y un sello actual, es una warranta de veras. Si vienen con un papelito que dice warrant, que no tiene la firma ni el sello, tienen mucho menos derechos de entrar o de arrestar con ese papelito. También tengo aquí conmigo Stephanie Costa, no es la abogada en la oficina del District Attorney, quien usa su sabiduría para ayudar en cuanto a inmigración.
Very fancy description. Creo que la pregunta también era cuál es la strategy que está usando nuestra oficina para proteger los inmigrantes. Tenemos varias estrategias, incluso trabajando con todas las personas que están en el sistema, incluso el sheriff, incluso el public defender, y queremos también en este grupo las cortes, porque es la única manera que realmente vamos a cambiar la situación. ¿Okay? Pero la verdad es que necesitamos ese grupo también, los jueces, para saber cuál es la best strategy.
Y con eso, sí, con eso también, en la Oficina de Defensores Públicos tenemos este programa que las personas han mencionado, este programa de Fight Back. Para nosotros es muy importante tratar de representar a las personas que necesitan representación, que no tienen dinero para un abogado. Pero nuestra oficina, todavía nuestra unidad de inmigrantes nueva es un poco chiquito, ¿ok? Solo tiene 11 personas y no todos son abogados. Estamos tratando de tener más personas para representar a la gente. Es muy importante que las personas tengan representación. Inmigración es civil, no se dan un defensor público para su caso civil. Entonces, nosotros estamos tratando de dar información a la gente, a los organismos comunitarios en nuestra comunidad, para que las personas saben sus derechos, conozcan sus derechos, entiendan lo que tienen que hacer para protegerse y también pueden tener representación. Entonces es nuestra meta de poder tener más acceso a abogados gratis de inmigración para proteger a la gente.
¿Cuál es su nombre?
Perdón, Laila Thompson, soy la nueva chief, ¿cómo se dice chief en español? Jefa, directora de la unidad de inmigrantes. Gracias.
Okay, thank you all.
¿Podría hablar de cuáles son esas estrategias para proteger a los inmigrantes residentes de Filadelfia, o por lo menos una de las estrategias que saben que van a emplear?
All right, now here's the thing. There's some people here who speak better Spanish than me, who are actual immigration attorneys. Do you want me to address this, or would you like to hear it from someone who has better Spanish and a little more authority?
Tu español es excelente.
Okay. Okay, qué bueno. Voy a tratar. All right, so just so I understand, the question was, what are some strategies that immigrants can use to protect themselves? Okay. Does anybody want to help me with this? I'll be happy to. Come on, Carlos, we'll do it together. How about that? He'll say stuff, then I'll imitate it.
Si la pregunta es qué estrategias pueden usar inmigrantes, algunas cosas. Primero, es tener un plan. Pueden tener consultas con abogados, hablar de su caso, no esperar hasta que tu familiar está detenido y después tratar de encontrar dinero sin la persona que a lo mejor estaba haciendo la gran mayoría del dinero en la casa, con muy poco tiempo. Es bueno tener un plan, ¿okay? Y en esto es bueno, algunos los pueden pagar por eso, y para que los que no, hay el programa de PIFUP, con la oficina del defensor. Está tratando de llegar a la meta de lo que se necesita para las personas que no pueden pagar para un abogado privado. También es bueno saber la ley un poco. Por ejemplo, ¿qué es un warrante? Un warrant, right? Un warrante de un juez federal. Okay? Ahí tiene papeles que tienen la palabra warrant, pero no son warrantes, no están firmados por un juez. Y hay varias de las organizaciones como ACLU y otras tienen ejemplos en su website que muestran cómo se ve. Tiene que tener el sello de la Corte Federal firmado por un juez federal. Eso es un warrant. Si no tiene esas cosas, no hay permiso para entrar el hogar, para entrar el carro. Okay? A lo mejor ahí es para romper la ley, pero puedes decir, no tienes derecho a entrar. ¿Okay? Abre la puerta, ¿te quiere mostrar el warrant? Pues no, muéstrala por la ventana, bajo la puerta. Pero no tienes permiso para entrar, no tienes permiso para entrar. Te vamos a arrestar todos si no la abres, no tienes permiso para entrar. Okay. Esas son algunas etapas, pero también tener el plan, no esperar hasta el arresto para ver qué vamos a hacer.
Sí, esa es estrategia para los inmigrantes, pero yo decía en la fiscalía, si hay alguna estrategia que tengan para proteger a los inmigrantes residentes de Filadelfia.
Como dijo nuestro amigo, el abogado Carlos Muñoz, abogado de inmigración, hay que tener un plan, hay que entender que la oficina de la defensora pública tiene un programa para asistir a abogados que pueden asistir si tienen un caso penal y les pueden ayudar. También hay que entender que si vienen agentes de ICE con un papel, y ese papel tiene la firma actual de un juez y un sello actual, es una warranta de veras. Si vienen con un papelito que dice warrant, que no tiene la firma ni el sello, tienen mucho menos derechos de entrar o de arrestar con ese papelito. También tengo aquí conmigo Stephanie Costa, la abogada en la oficina del District Attorney, quien usa su sabiduría para ayudar en cuanto a inmigración.
Very fancy description. Creo que la pregunta también era cuál es la strategy que está usando nuestra oficina para proteger los inmigrantes. Tenemos varias estrategias, incluso trabajando con todas las personas que están en el sistema, incluso el sheriff, incluso el public defender, y queremos también en ese grupo las cortes, porque es la única manera que realmente vamos a cambiar la situación. ¿Okay? Pero la verdad es que necesitamos ese grupo también, los jueces, para saber cuál es la best strategy.
Y con eso, sí, con eso también, en la Oficina de Defensores Públicos tenemos este programa que las personas han mencionado, es el programa de Fight Back. Para nosotros es muy importante tratar de representar a las personas que necesitan representación, que no tienen dinero para un abogado. Pero nuestra oficina, todavía nuestra unidad de inmigrantes nueva es un poco chiquito, ¿ok? Solo tiene 11 personas y no todos son abogados. Estamos tratando de tener más personas para representar a la gente. Es muy importante que las personas tengan representación. Inmigración es civil, no se dan un defensor público para sus casos civil. Entonces, nosotros estamos tratando de dar información a la gente, a los organismos comunitarios en nuestra comunidad, para que las personas saben sus derechos, conozcan sus derechos, entiendan lo que tienen que hacer para protegerse y también pueden tener representación. Entonces es nuestra meta de poder tener más acceso a abogados gratis de inmigración para proteger a la gente.
¿Cuál es su nombre?
Perdón, Laila Thompson. Soy la nueva chief, ¿cómo se dice chief en español? Jefa, director de la unidad de inmigrantes. Gracias.
Okay, thank you all.